Everyone loves a good comeback story, right? Seabiscuit, the Mighty Ducks,
Robert Downey Jr., who
Rocky.
else? Yes.
Kim Kardashian.
Well,
In the video, she gets cum on her back, I think.
We have returned. We somehow survived this week of
That
football.
was the dumbest round I've ever watched.
I'm giving up my tipping right
I
now.
know.
This might have been one of my better rounds of tipping, and that's how stupid this year has been.
Don't know what I got for my tipping.
I got 4. I got 4. You got 5.
I got 5 somehow.
I don't know what I got, but I know I didn't get anything wrong in the Cowboys fan.
No, I got the first 3 wrong, and then everything else correct.
Yeah, good.
No,
First 3 wrong, and the next 4, and then the last one wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't technically miss on Cowboys Panthers.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that later. We'll start with Eels Dolphins, which was an interesting game to say the least.
Missed it by that much.
Dylan Brown.
Yeah, he was good.
He was good.
We'll start with the Eels. It was a strange game, man.
Not pass the ball. That's what led to the Dolphins still winning.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of people you can blame that final play for. It could be Anno Carr, it could be Brown.
There was a play before that Dylan Walker dropped the ball on the second tackle 10 metres out. So that was like rough. Yeah. They had a bad last 5 minutes, Parramatta, unfortunately, where they could have stolen the game. And they didn't.
Yeah, that final play was something else.
That was bonkers.
Look, they actually were coming home the stronger. They just
Absolutely.
yeah.
I thought that Josh Adokar was excellent in this game. I thought he played very, very well. He's put together back-to-back really good weeks for the Eels.
Well, he may be working his way into a New South Wales jersey, who knows?
There's too many good wingers for that, unfortunately.
Oh,
There's Toto, Lomax, Kiraz. I'd almost put Turbo on the wing before I'd put Josh on the wing. He's just too old now, a bit too inconsistent. Yeah, I don't know. Especially if you're going up against a wing pairing of whether it'll be Talangi and Coates.
or Holmes, maybe?
Holmes will be in the centre.
He'll be in the centre.
Whoever the other centre is up to whoever the fullback is, I suppose.
Jackson Church.
No.
He will be there one day.
Yeah, I thought that I think both teams can walk away from this game feeling okay. I mean, obviously it's a heartbreaking way to lose for the Eels, but they were in this game. They just needed to be a touch more polished and they win.
That sounds like a number of their games this year, unfortunately.
And the Dolphins just kind of needed to end this year
Because they were
on.
down.
Yes, exactly. I've been very impressed with how Isaiah Iongi has progressed in this season. Because at the beginning of the year, he looked kind of hopeless.
I think the resurgence of Mitchell Moses into the team has probably helped him out a lot. Like it has with a number of the players.
Yeah, I feel like for basically the entire back line, when they have Mitch Moses inside them, they play so much better
and more confident. I think it's a confidence thing. I think without Moses there, they were like hot trash fire. But now they're at least looking like a team that can actually score points.
And I think we brought the effort thing. They play a lot better. With a lot of enthusiasm.
They do.
And I think the big one you can look at for that sort of thing is how Kiyoani Kautoga played for the first bit of the year and how he's playing now. He's so much more involved. Like the try that got them back into the game, the Iongi try was fully set up by his offload.
Yeah.
So, and it's good to see him actually applying in attack now, which he hasn't really done for the majority of the year. It's good to see that.
Yeah, he's made a bit of defensive though.
I'm still insanely confused about what's going on with Jermaine Hopgood. Like, you look at the minute share in this game. You had Jermaine Hopgood who played 40 minutes, which is nowhere near enough for someone of his caliber. It's just they played Jordan Samrani for 71 minutes. Exactly. He's an outside back on the bench. He came on for was it Will Penasini when he had his HIA.
And then he just stayed on.
And he just stayed on for the rest of the game.
That's interesting.
It's very, very strange.
Did Will pass his actually?
He passed. He came back on. They had a couple of ones because I think Simonson got hurt in this game as well.
Oh, no. The two centres. They're still waiting. Well, no, Penasini's a winger, isn't he?
The Penasini's the centre. Simonson's the winger.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always get those two mixed up.
It sucks for them.
Yeah.
It's just strange. I don't get what Jason Riles is doing there. It's weird. I also don't get what the Dolphins are. They're also very weird.
Like we've mentioned many times, this whole competition is kind of strange.
This competition
Yeah.
is very, very
Yeah.
strange. I will, well, especially now, I'm going to continue to praise Isaiah Katoa.
Oh,
He is playing like almost the form halfback of the competition right now. He's New South Wales.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't get picked because he's very
Laurie Davey is too stupid for that.
Yeah, it's fair.
It'll be Cleary and Luai probably, but we'll see how that pans out.
I think it could be Cleary and Moses.
Yeah. What are you going to put Moses in at 6?
I put him at 6. He has the running game for it. And having two like excellent kicking options is going to keep whatever fullback is back there guessing the entire night. It could be a way that Daly can go about it. I don't know what.
He's not that good at the best of times, so I'll see how he goes.
The usual suspects for the Dolphins were pretty good. I thought Herbie was great. I thought that Hammer played well. I thought that
Wait a minute, can we rewind and repeat that?
Hammer played well. Hammer played well. Hammer played well. Hammer played well. Yes, he had a good game. Hammer had a good game. He technically saved the game for them with that tackle on Dylan Brown.
What? You're deceiving me?
I've said multiple times this year when Hammer's had a good game that he's had a good game. It just doesn't happen as often as people think it does, in my opinion. Anyway.
Oh,
I thought that also Cody Nicarima was his usual self. He was excellent.
he's going to go down as one of the best clubmen.
I think Josh Kerr is an interesting one. He plays well. I think he's a good forward, but he just has some of the most boneheaded plays I've ever seen from nearly any forward. It's so weird. He'll run excellently and he'll have some good times to offload, but then he'll just throw a grenade up for no reason and lose his team 5 meters. It's very odd.
Somebody's behind him, yeah, I know.
Yeah,
He's not the only one in the comp that does that, just saying, but yes, he does do that.
yeah. This is a good win for the Dolphins to get their season back on track.
But aren't you worried for Parramatta?
They're still in last.
No, but like after this game, I'm not like mad at their performance.
They need to start winning something if they want to have a chance in the 8. That's just how it goes.
I don't think they're not making the 8.
I don't think they are either.
Them already.
How's Jason?
I don't feel bad for Jason Riles. Half of this is of his own making, especially with the Jermaine Hopgood stuff. I don't get what he's doing. It's strange. Yeah. It's very, very strange.
Yeah, well done, Dolphins. Tough luck, Parramatta. Keep working, you'll get there.
They'll get there
They'll
eventually.
probably still be last, but that's okay.
Yeah, so I don't think they're going to get the spoon. I think there are a couple of teams that are worse than them.
The Tigers.
This is a team like the spoon, so I hope they get
Well, I think one of the teams that's playing worse than them right now is the Newcastle Knights. How in the world
Did you let the Tigers?
How can you lose to the Gold Coast?
the week of stupid began here, in my opinion? And I had to call it the week of stupid because Freaky Friday is copyrighted already. That was, I don't know how that happens. Adam O'Brien's going to be tearing whatever's left of his hair out. It's, yeah.
Oh, it's
You
fun.
might have to actually get
Only
some
5
expression in
gold
his voice
spots
when he
already.
talks.
He has the personality of a wet towel. So he's not a good coach. I think he should be firmly on the hot seat right now.
Yeah, Ian Des has one of the two.
This is unacceptable because this is the Titans who, for the last few weeks, have been playing like the worst team in the competition. And yes, they did get Jaden Campbell back, which is good. But it's just, you're up 20-0. There's no way you should lose.
You don't lose from there, but however, we have another game that might be a thing as well. But yes, no, the Gold Coast should not have won that game.
Yeah, well,
Newcastle threw it away.
Newcastle in the first half had 60% of the ball. They completed it 92%. They had 63% of the field position. It was 20-6, I think, at halftime. They're still up by, it was 20-0 at one point. There's no way you should lose that game.
No.
But I guess the scriptwriters decided, nah. And then Newcastle were what's the opposite of beneficiary? I don't know either. Whatever that is, that's what Newcastle were on that.
I'll throw the word up on the screen. Phil.
Chuck it up
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, it's just, and then that second half was just diabolical. It returned to the Newcastle that just can't play offensive football. And that is all based around how poorly Kalen Ponga is going right now.
Yeah.
I mean, yikes.
He just has no confidence.
I thought he'd come back after last week because he had a good game against Souths. I thought he played well against Souths. And then they come up against a worse opposition and he completely turtles. I love Kalen Ponga. I think he's one of the most talented people the league has ever seen. I really don't know what's going on.
He should trust his running a bit more. He's so strong through the legs and hips.
I think it has to be a game plan thing.
Mm.
It has to be a game plan thing. Because that was the entire chat in the offseason was that, oh yeah, Newcastle was Kalen Ponga and nothing else. So they tried to scheme ways of keeping Kalen Ponga as not the only focal point in attack, and it has sapped any of the gifts that he was able to use. He doesn't look interested now.
No, that's because he's not the main person by himself anymore. And
It's just not good, man.
yeah,
I'm putting a line through the Newcastle Knights right now. Until Adam O'Brien is fired, I don't see them making the 8 at all. They are just not playing well. It's
they're struggling, aren't they? It's not fun to watch. I wouldn't want to be a Newcastle fan at the moment.
at the very least for Newcastle, they still have Fletcher Sharp,
Yeah.
who is excellent.
I think his ball up a pretty good game.
I thought he had one of his quieter games, to be fair.
Mm.
I feel like he was matched up against that Bo Fermor on that side. I can almost not blame him for having a quiet game because Bo Fermor is one of the best defensive second rowers in the competition.
He's like,
I thought,
who's him?
Bradman Best was pretty average as well.
Bradman Best was meh.
Yeah.
I think, look, the other bright spots, I think Dylan Lucas was great, as he always is. He's supremely consistent. He's one of the only players for Newcastle that's been consistent the whole year. And yeah, Jacob Saifidi has been on a tear.
He's been really good. Yeah.
He's been awesome.
Yeah.
200 plus minutes in both the games since he's been back. He's been great.
He wants to make up for missed time. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. You reckon he could be in the Origin conversation? He's been there before.
If not, yeah, he has. He's been in Origin. If not in, he's got to be in the squad somewhere, I think.
He has to be.
Yeah.
He's playing well enough, and I don't know what Laurie Daly's going to do with his forwards. I don't know what he's going to do with any of the team, to be fair, but the forwards especially.
I mean, one picks himself, but apart from
I
that,
think two should pick themselves.
oh, sorry, yeah.
There's a lot of chat that he's not going to pick Terrell May, and if he does that, I said this before, I will fly down to New South Wales and punch him in his face, because that will be the most idiotic decision that a coach has ever made. Until
Good for Queensland.
okay, it will be the most idiotic decision a coach has ever made until about the end of this podcast. Yeah, it's just these bright spots for Newcastle, but not many.
Yeah.
At least the Titans won, which is good for them. They needed to get some wins on the board. I spoke about Jaden Campbell before. He's excellent.
bad.
I thought he had a good game this
He's
week.
not that good. His kicking game is terrible. His running game is pretty well non-existent. And
Which is strange considering that's what he's there for.
yeah, I know.
He's there for his running
He's
game.
not doing that. And he's very awkward. He's not a good passer of the ball because he's used to being a fullback. And they don't
His
pass.
running game, he ran for 130 metres in this game. For a 5'8", that's not bad.
Well, that's an aberration then because he hasn't really been going that good.
He's had some very, very good games, but he's also had some absolute stinkers. He's extremely rocks and diamonds.
And it's just, I just don't think he hasn't reached his potential. And time is starting to run out.
I think his passes, he's kind of had like the Cam Munster thing where he's just had so many like groin and upper leg injuries where it's kind of taken it out of him a little bit.
I guess it happened to Michael Morgan.
It happens to Michael Morgan as well. It happens to most halves, to be fair.
Yeah.
Tino, man, he's good.
He picks himself for Queensland. He's going to be there.
In terms of forwards, like there aren't many forwards that you can like watch a team and say, oh yes, they are like objectively and insanely better when he's on the field. Tino is the absolute epitome of that. You can watch the Titans for the 10 minutes of break or they have whatever he's on the field for. They can't gain any meters. They look lost. They don't have any leadership. That's what he's there for.
Oh, yeah, he's the captain.
Excellent. Like he ran for some 240 meters in this game or something ridiculous. He had 37 tackles, I think, no misses or something like that. It was just absurd. He's great.
Well, he picks himself for Origin.
He picks himself for Origin. What position is he going to play in Origin?
Probably lock.
Potter's going to come back for him.
Connor will play off the bench or he'll be front row or second row maybe.
They have three locks, really. They have
Carrigan.
they've got Carrigan, Potter, and Tino.
Connor's already played like prop. He's already played number 8 for Queensland.
He's also played second row for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think, well, maybe they put Then we see Carrigan's been playing
Because
for the row
because the lock spot for Queensland the past couple of years has been Pat Carrigan's. Tino's always been playing in the forwards. So
Well, he can do either.
he can do either. They've got a lot of good versatility there, but Tino is just so good. Love Tino. He's good.
Mo's been pretty good.
I thought Mo's, especially the last couple of weeks, has really turned it on.
Mm.
I thought he was great in this game.
He did.
The second half of this game is what we know the Titans can be.
My photo wife is looking for a Queensland jersey as well.
He's got to be the competition, especially for the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah. This game is what we know the Titans can be. That second half was great.
First half, they were still.
Second half was bad. The first half was bad.
Sorry.
Yes. But that second half was really, really good.
Yeah.
It's at least signs of life for the Titans, which
And takes small amounts of pressure off Des Hasler.
just a touch.
We'll see what happens
He
this
can,
week.
he can keep his fabulous head of hair for another week.
Yeah.
One guy who's probably not keeping his head of hair is Michael Maguire, because I have no idea what the Broncos are doing.
Another comeback.
Yeah, number 2. Comeback number 2. We're going to keep. I'll have like a tally counter in the top corner or something about all this.
Comeback number 2 from 14-0 down.
What do you say about this game? This game was bonkers. This game was so.
I wouldn't even call it a game of two halves. I said it was be like a game of one player.
Essentially, yes.
And
Because, yes, Latrell Mitchell, in my opinion, was the sole reason that Souths won this game.
I actually 100% agree. And I'm not a Latrell Mitchell fan, and everybody knows that. But he was the difference in the game.
And couldn't reflect that momentum that they had at the start because Latrell actually took the game by the scruff of the neck.
Exactly. And it's not even because we know Latrell, he's this amazingly skilled, game-breaking fullback. But the amount of, try-saving plays that he had in this game was amazing for someone of his stature and his fullback style, really. That's a lot of high-effort play from someone who's notoriously
Lazy.
not that.
Yeah.
So that's at least something that maybe...
He had a very good game. Souths need him to be firing all the time, otherwise they're going to linger down the bottom somewhere.
If he's playing too well, he might play Origin.
Yeah, well...
It's just bad for Queensland because we know how he goes at Origin level.
Yeah, but if it's under Laurie Daly, it won't matter. Sorry, Laurie, but you're bad. Anyway,
I guess that's fair.
but yes, I don't know what to say. The Broncos are just...
They're just self-employed.
They are...
They're kind of rudderless right now, aren't they?
They've got... We had this discussion at trivia just before. They have about 3 or 4 players tops who are actually trying, and the rest really are just there making up the numbers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them.
And look, we'll go with 2 of them now. The obvious answers. Pat Carrigan and Payne Haas, they're still 2 of maybe the top 5 best
They
players.
are really trying hard, and the captain is also trying hard.
Reynolds is doing his best.
But the rest of the team is really not on board for
Because
whatever reason.
you look at some of these guys and think, oh yeah, they had a good game. Like Brendan Piakura in this game, I thought was excellent.
Mm.
But he hasn't done anything this year outside this one game. And it's just...
And Dean Mariner, I would have thought he would have burnt Latrell straight past him because he's actually quick.
He's fast.
But then I remember South Sydney, it's slower down there because they cut their grass higher, and it's like, should remember that.
The only thing I can use to justify Brisbane maybe losing this game is that final 15 minutes, because they were tied at that point, losing Ben Hunt sucked. That really, really crippled them in attack. And you could see they were just lost for that final 15 minutes. He did his hamstring, I think. He's out for 6 weeks.
He's not playing.
He's not playing at least Origin 1. It's rough. Just, yeah.
Poor Dozer.
However, having a 14-point lead in the rain,
You should win.
you should win. You really should win from that point.
That's the thing with Brisbane, right? They've always lauded themselves on their ability to defend
Yeah.
leads. Now, sometimes it's worked. Sometimes it hasn't. There's the time that it didn't because they forgot how to attack.
For them to attack. Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And for the last half, they were like,
See, this is where you'd expect someone like Selwyn Cobbo to really step up in the fullback role. He was silent in this game, I thought.
no, I think it's an attitude problem for the Broncos. Their attitude is through the floor at the moment, apart from the people we've named. And I don't know what Maguire can do. I really don't, because it's not down to him. It's down to when they take the field, what is in here.
Well, there's grumblings of player unsatisfaction right now at Brisbane, which, could just be a bunch of scuttlebutt. But usually, where there's smoke, there's fire. So, and I think we and a lot of people had that concern in the preseason where I thought, Mads is a very, very strong personality, about to coach a team of very, very strong personalities.
Well, you could call them that, or you could call them dickheads.
Okay, I'm trying to be PG here, but yeah, you can see that something clearly isn't working with whether it's the scheme, whether it's Madge's interaction with the players, whether it's the players themselves.
It could be any number of those or a couple of them put together.
There's a lot.
I know that there was the problem that they didn't like the idea that they had to run around training with their shirts on.
Well, yeah, they had
Like show off.
to ditch the rock star mentality
Yeah.
that they had the past few years. Especially after last season, you would have thought, okay, we need to pull our heads in a bit because last year was bad.
They were bad, yeah.
But
I thought they started this year pretty well, and they've just
they lost 4 of their past 5. They are in the middle of a landslide, and it's not looking like it's going to get any better, at least for mine.
No,
not unless there's like a 180 shift in their
Yeah.
attitude. They need that.
Unfortunately, I don't think that can happen overnight.
No, and
At least give them a buy round to see if they can get something going, but it's just not looking very good, especially with Origin coming up now. They're going to lose at the very least Carson Carrigan, definitely. Maybe Selwyn Cobbo goes as well.
possibly.
It's
I don't know when you play.
the Packers, because those are the only 2 decent forwards there, in my opinion. Aside maybe Xavier Willison, they've got no one else outside Carson Carrigan. It could be a rough next 6 to 8 weeks for Brisbane.
Unless they arrest it pretty shortly, it could be.
It could be season over.
And look, well done to South. You stayed in fight, and with Latrell kind of steering the ship, you made your way through, and you beat Brisbane.
Latrell Mitchell scoring the funniest try I have ever seen.
Which one was that one?
At the very end of the game, where
half and scores.
Like 5 seconds and then jumped over.
I mean, once you saw the Broncos relations, okay, bang.
I died laughing when that happened, and I knew that there would be so many Brisbane fans that would be so pissy about it. I don't care. I think that's great, especially with how close this competition is. For and against is important. You take points whenever you can get them.
Play to the whistle. That's what you always
I'm
do.
going to say it's that, and Latrell was being a smart footballer and not just being ornamental.
Yeah.
I think it was probably a bit of both, to be fair.
I'm very, very happy that Wayne Bennett figured out that, hey, we should play Keon Kalamatangi in the middle of the field because he's awesome.
He's a front rower.
He was so good. Well, he played all of it like last year, but he was notoriously not liking playing in the front row. Unfortunately, it's his best position. And you saw it here. The combination of him and Jai Arrow really wrested back momentum in the second half.
I rate Keon. I think he's an excellent footballer.
Excellent.
And Jai Arrow, he always runs hard and whatever.
There's a few forwards in there, you just know what you get. You and Aitken, I think, is another great example of that. He's a great, great footballer.
And remember, this is a team that's missing about 7 or 8.
They're missing a lot of people.
Frontline footballers.
Yeah.
Some of those players are like from Q Cup,
Exactly.
stepping up and still managing to take out one of the we thought was going to be a heavyweight this year, but obviously
If I
were wrong.
If I have to find one nitpick out of this from the Bunnies, I mean, obviously it's the first half, which wasn't great, but I don't think Wayne or Jai Gray know what Jai Gray's role is in this team right now.
I feel for Jai Gray.
I really feel for Jai Gray because he got chucked on, I think, at dummy half for about 11 minutes to spell Saliva Havili, and he came off. He looked gassed.
That's
He
not
looked
his position.
But he also, you saw him walking off the field, and the guys on Triple M talked about this. He looked a bit confused as well. Like he doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. And unfortunately, he's so good that you can't leave him out of the squad completely. But there isn't really a spot made for him right now, and especially with how well Latrell played in this game, I don't think there's any pressure on that fullback jersey right now anymore. So unless you just want to. You keep him there so he plays fullback through the Origin period, which you could definitely do worse.
This is the guy that was leading the Dally M's.
Exactly. So, look, I love Jai Gray. I think he's a great player. I think they need to figure out what they're going to do with him. Because I don't think
he's not a hooker, though.
You could chuck him on at the end of the first half and just let him wreak havoc for a little bit, or at the end of the second half, just play him like Remember how the Cowboys used Hammerstone in 2022?
Oh, yeah.
You could kind of do that with him, I reckon. You just play him for the final 10, 15 minutes of the game and then run around a bunch of tired forwards.
Yeah.
Especially with how nippy he is. That could work.
He's actually a good player.
He's a good player. It's hard. It's hard when you've got Latrell ahead of you on, and with that game. If Latrell had a bad game, or maybe Wayne thinks of maybe we put him somewhere else, but who knows? Well done, South.
Rabbits they have 5 wins on the year, which is not bad considering a lot of the people around that area are less wins.
Yeah.
So as soon as buys start kicking in, they're going to slowly rise up the ladder. I can see them definitely making the 8.
Yeah, other teams to stay ahead.
Very interesting to see how they go. And yeah, once again, I'm a little bit worried for Brisbane now. It's not looking
I
great.
did not like their women in league jersey. I thought it was awful. It was so white.
There's many great women in league jerseys.
That was like what?
I don't think we even did one, did we?
Oh,
No.
no, we didn't.
Unless they're going to do it up here. Oh, it was up here.
Yeah, they did. One was up here. I don't know. It's strange. Another strange game. Raiders Dogs. Comeback number 3.
The 3.
I mean, this game was stupid.
This was the epitome of a game.
This was the conglomeration of everything dumb about this round. It was stupid.
Canberra played like a team best in the first half.
Man, were they good in the first half.
They were incredible. And I thought, my goodness, the Dogs are getting out-dogged, as it were.
Exactly. It was so strange. But
And then
then
half-time hit.
the Raiders for the past 3 weeks in this had done comeback. They had been the comeback kids for the past few weeks. And then like some sort of bizarro green goblin, the faders slowly emerged in the background saying, hey, you need to blow a lead. It's stupid.
That, like in spades.
And Ricky was incensed, wasn't he?
Well,
Nothing is his fault. It's his fault.
The Raiders first half, they had 60% of the ball. They had 55% of the field position. They broke 35 tackles. They doubled the Dogs' running meters. They had 4 line breaks and completed at 96%. And they were up 20-0. And what can you do?
Now that even shows that they went into the break and they thought, we're good.
Well, yeah, they were playing like premiership contenders, in my opinion. They were nigh on unstoppable.
they were excellent.
And it's gone.
What?
It's gone. It's all gone.
I remember I was going to pick up my daughter from work, and I didn't have the radio on playing, and then I turned it on, and it was, when I left, it was 20-0. I thought, oh, this game's over. So I didn't have it playing. Because it wasn't.
And then when I turned it on, it was, and the Dogs had the lead 24-20.
What? And it was solely off the back of one man.
Stephen Crichton.
Crichton decided to remind us that, yes, he is the best centre of the past 20 years.
He is amazing.
Man. I mean, like,
He's so humble. I like it because he's so humble with it.
and I know that's especially impressive on your end because you got sick of all of the Penrith people being uber arrogant when they left. He's just been super down to earth. He is the captain, obviously, but he was so good in that second half.
Oh, look, he's almost a prototype for a centre.
He is.
He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's got good ball skills, he's whatever, and he's a good captain.
He's a great captain.
That is absolutely true. He's probably one of the best captains in the competition.
I think he's probably in line for captain of the year.
I don't see that he can be kicked out by anybody at this point, at least.
That second half from the Bulldogs was just domination. 71% of the ball. 62% of the field possession. They tripled the Raiders' running meters, broke 30 tackles, had 8 line breaks, and completed at 92%. 32 unanswered points.
Raiders had 29% of the ball.
Yeah, and they had no ball in the
So
second
it kind of is, and you talk about it, right? If possession evens up, the game generally starts
Getting a bit more even, right? And we did.
The fun thing you can look at when in terms of possession is the amount of tackles players are making. Because if you're making more tackles, you don't have the balls.
Yeah, that's true.
Marnie made 45 tackles in the first half of this
Yeah,
game.
well, that tells you something.
That tells you, and he made 15 tackles in the entirety of the second half. So I think that kind of tells you how this game went for both of these teams.
Still, like 60 tackles is pretty good.
60 is
For
very
a
good.
single
Everybody
player.
thought he was chasing the 80 by, it wasn't McInnes or whoever it was who hit 80 that time.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately, the Dogs decided, you know what, we're going to actually play some good football.
And they did. And
well done, Dogs. Geraldo's got them humming.
We've got them going.
In a year where most teams are passing average, the Bulldogs are standing out.
I don't know what happened when they lost to Brisbane. I'm completely dumbfounded as to how that game
Would
happened.
they have like a thing over Brisbane like Penrith have over No, does Brisbane have a thing over the Dogs like Penrith have over Brisbane?
I actually don't know. I should have looked at the stats around that. It's just, yes, we talked about Stephen Crichton. He's flanked by the ever reliable Jacob Carraz, who's a great player.
Could be playing Origin.
It fully depends on how well Zach Lomax goes this week. We will see. He broke 12 tackles in this game. He ran 160 meters. He was awesome. I thought the Viliami kick-out was excellent in this game as well.
Well, he generally has good games.
He generally has good games, but this was one where he really stood out for mine. And maybe that's because Jacob Preston wasn't playing. It might help, but I thought he was good. He played 80 minutes, which for I think only played.
And he's on the opposite side to Stephen Crichton, isn't he? So
He's
that's,
on, he's on the
well,
opposite side.
Crichton, it was
just him being good.
He played very, very well. I like Jamin Salmon continuing the week.
we got a dog.
And proceeding to break his foot.
Yeah, good on him. Yeah.
And I get Ricky Stewart in the press conference after. He's like, "You really think I care about that?" I think that's a sign for Jamie to be like, you know, what? I think the joke's over. The joke's over.
Well, I think it's pretty funny because Ricky did bring that.
With Ben Hunt being out now and Harry Grant maybe not being fully healthy, I don't think he'll play 80 minutes at Origin. I know the conversations are Tom Dearden playing 14. I think Reid Marnie should be in these conversations.
Well, the fact is he could be the number 9.
You could just be the 9. Imagine having, like I've said this before, him, Munster, and Corey Horsburgh in the same team for the ultimate test bowl. You get under.
That's right, because they've got Liam Martin and and all those.
You get under there, it's like curtains.
Yeah.
There's only 5 fights in the first game.
Yeah,
Fine.
the second half of the Bulldogs was excellent. Yeah. Look, for the first half where the Raiders were good, they were good. They were very, very good.
I don't know what happened in the second half, but
that try to Hudson Young with like 2 minutes left in the first half was one of the most beautiful pieces of play I've ever seen.
Well, Hudson Young was a try-scoring machine.
Can you get another truck?
I don't remember. Possibly. Yes, he did. You're right. Yes. But that, look, again, I guess the usual suspects for Canberra. Joe Tarpany is excellent in this game. As he
Papali'i was
Papali'i, I thought, played pretty well. As you said, Hudson Young played well. In Corey Horsburgh's stead, because he was obviously named and then got pulled out in the day before the game happened, they put Zach Hosking in the middle. I thought he played very well, considering he's normally a second rower.
Yeah.
He just gets through mountains of work. I think he's a really good compliment for Joe Tarpany. I guess we'll see how, now that Matty Nicholson is hurt, you'll probably see him playing on the edge for the next.
Yeah, Horse will probably be back next week.
Horse is back, yeah. But yeah, Matty Nicholson, I think, is out for 12 weeks or something.
Oh, wow.
He's gone for a while, which is very unfortunate because he's a combination of a sprained ankle and a broken fibula. So.
Oh, that's nasty.
It is nasty, and it's rather unfortunate because he's been playing well.
Like what?
Would.
I guess another guy who's kind of flown under the radar because he's not one of the bigger names, but Tom Starling has been so good this year.
He has probably been one of their most consistent players.
Because, if Reece Robson hadn't kicked on the way he has the past few weeks, I think the 9 conversation for New South Wales would have been between Starling and Egan. Or maybe like Connor Watson or something.
But I think Robson's been good enough to...
Robson's been good enough as the incumbent. I think he'll hold on to it. But Tom Starling shouldn't be overlooked.
Get me a 14. Get him on there.
I think, because Stephen Crichton had such a good second half, the unfortunate recipient of all of that was Sebastian Chris. I thought he had a pretty poor game.
It's hard when the opposition centre is...
Yeah, but even in the first half, not much of the stuff was going on that side anyway. So he was just...
He was quiet and then bad.
Yes, exactly. It reeked of when Talakai marked up on Morgan Harper that one game a few years ago, and then got tricked into thinking Talakai was the centre for a year and a half.
Yeah.
That was funny. But
yeah, it was good when he was on Morgan Harper.
Look, the Raiders have quite a bit of, I think, soul searching to do.
I thought he got like 130.
He got 90 points in the first half or something.
But they only got 15 in the second half.
Yeah, because they're just put the queue in the rack. Yeah. But yeah, I think the Raiders have a bit of searching to do after capitulating the way they did. I imagine Ricky Stewart's going to be...
They'll be running laps till they're dead.
They'll be going for a while. They might still be going now at whatever time it is, 8:30 or something.
Oh, it's probably close to 9.
Hold on, what time is it? It is 9:20 on the dot. Well done.
Look at that. Look at them go.
They'll still be running around. And the Bulldogs, great fight back. It's good signs for them. Well, they're still, in my opinion, they are the best team in the competition right now. And they're on the ladder, I suppose.
I do agree with that.
Yeah. One team that is not very good is the St. George Illawarra Dragons. This was, yeah.
I forget that's it, bro.
And look, I don't hate St. George.
They're not playing well.
But they're not playing very well. So
Look, what doesn't help is losing Toby Couchman of not very long into this game because he's been their big minute forward. He's been a stalwart in defence.
and look, it stuffs up your rotations. It stuffs
Stuffs
up
up
everything,
everything.
right?
So
Yeah.
I can understand that they might have a bad game because it happens.
The thing that annoys me about the Dragons in this game is that the Warriors didn't score any points in the latter 65 minutes of this game. The Dragons scored more tries than the Warriors did in this game. And they still found a way to lose. I feel like if this game had happened in any other week of football, the Dragons would be getting all of the spotlight for how they managed to lose this. But it just so happened that it came in a week filled with complete bullshit. It just gets swept under the rug. I'm not letting it get swept under the rug. The Dragons deserve to be mocked for losing this game. This was absolutely abhorrent.
and well done to the Warriors for just going over.
I'll get to the Warriors in a minute. I'm so sick. Look, I hate Shane Flanagan. I don't like him at all. I don't like Dragons. I don't like half of their signings because Valentine Holmes was terrible in this game. You could argue he was the reason they lost because his kicking was terrible. I think that this rotation thing they have going of Cook and Little work for a bit, but they keep changing it every week, and it's breaking and it doesn't work. Clint Gutherson's body is going to break down at some point this year. I know it. I know that Tyrell Sloan also got injured in this game, but he is a winger and barely gets involved anyway because it's Tyrell Sloan. So I don't want to hear anything how that was the big problem of this team. They still need more out of the halves combo. Kyle Flanagan is not good. I don't know why he's still there besides it's the Billy Walters thing from last year. It's just insane how Shane Flanagan is getting none of the vitriol that some of these other coaches are getting when his team is performing just as badly.
We're sitting on the ladder now.
They're sitting, I think, in the bottom four. I think, let me double check on that. Not great.
Myself here.
It's just not good. They shouldn't have lost this game.
Once again, in a weekend of catch-ups, it was another catch-up.
Dragons are sitting, they're sitting in 13th. So they're just outside the bottom four.
They could finish last.
I haven't finished last. No, you did. I have the Warriors finishing last.
Well, that's not happening. They've already won too many games for that to actually happen.
Yeah.
So, well done, the Warriors. Good on you. Keep your winning ways about you.
Look, for as much as I do believe the Dragons should have won this game and deserve to win this game, and somehow didn't,
the Warriors were
and I just wrote about how bad they are. I thought Jaden Sewell was good in this game. It's not all terrible, I suppose. That's just about it, man. And that debutant forward, Pacific Tonga, I thought he did all right.
The Man Mountain.
Huge, isn't he? He's a big guy.
126 kilos or something
Massive.
ridiculous.
He's a massive guy.
like 190.
121, I think he is.
121.
190, 121. That's
I was about 196.
I thought he did all right. 30 minutes on his debut in a forward pack that lost one of its main people. I thought he did all right. But there needs to be some improvement in this team by now, and there just hasn't been.
No, they've been playing about the same.
There's something wrong with the halves.
Other teams are going past them quite comfortably.
Yes, absolutely, I agree. Much like the Warriors, for example.
Yeah.
Funny that. Well done,
They were
Warriors.
extremely lucky.
They welcome back Dallin Wateni-Zalesniak, which is cool.
Look, it's his first game in 2 months-ish, so I'm not going to rip into him too hard for him being a little bit behind the pace, I thought, in this game. Because he's a good player.
Too much Eric slows him down.
Aerodynamics is so bad. Yeah. It feels like it's becoming a weekly tradition with Metcalf.
Oh, he is so good.
I don't know what's happening.
Look, everybody was concerned that he wasn't going to be able to fill the shoes of Sean Johnson. He hasn't tried to beat Sean Johnson.
He's been his own player.
And he's been very good at being his own player. And he's a good kicker.
And all those things, right? So,
Yeah, it's just
he's actually a fairly well-rounded.
look. He did his other thing of kicking a field goal with 10 minutes left, which is possibly the earliest I've ever seen a game-winning field goal kick.
game winning.
Winning.
Game
Game-winning.
winning. Game
Winning the game
winning.
off its mum.
And look, I guess other usual stalwarts for the Warriors, Aaron Clark is excellent.
Look,
He's good.
we ran out of superlatives for Aaron Clark. He just every week you know what you're going to get.
Bang.
He's going to run hard.
He's quickly become the bang for your buck player.
Oh, absolutely.
No doubt.
He has been so good.
He has held that
I
forward.
think he just loves being home, right? I mean, he left the Gold Coast to go back home, and he is just reveling, and he's doing a good job.
Yeah, I thought Chaz Nickel-Klokstad was good in the
He's excellent
He did a
too.
good draw run for 200 metres and break a few tackles. That's just how he is. I thought Mitch Barnett was also really good in this game. It's good to see him find some form again because he's been a little bit quiet at the beginning of the year. He was really, really
New
good.
South Wales team.
Well, again, no, he won't make it.
I think he could make the New South Wales team. He was there last year. It's just so hard to predict what Laurie Daly is going to do because I don't think Laurie knows what Laurie's going to do. Yeah, it's just
Yeah, right. So the Warriors were better.
the Warriors are the Raiders. They're winning games in dumb ways and not by much. They are in second place and they have won 7 games or whatever it is. They have a point differential of 1.
Yeah.
Single 1.
From this game.
Just stupid. Yeah.
Another game that was 6.
Stupid game. Cowboys Panthers.
Draw of the season.
Dirty draw of the season. Except we were not sleeping during this game
Certainly would.
at all.
I
I had heart
I
palpitations.
was very wide awake.
It was stupid. The first draw of the year somehow is an unholy combination of both a barn burner and a poo slinger. This game was incredibly exciting, but it was also very, very bad.
What a Rob Derby, man.
At times it was very bad.
Yeah.
And look, we can't say one team was way better than the other team because the scores tell us it was exactly the same.
However, I do think a new name for this game will pop up over the next couple of days, which is Watergate. Look, both teams having the moral high ground over Penrith for about 5 seconds. It was fun.
Well, you got to know that if that came out for Penrith, they were going to look for something for the Cowboys as well, and they found it, and that was that. So look, I'm quite happy for both of the trainers or both of the teams to be fined for that particular act, and that's fine.
The reason is that tournament, Penrith did it, but he called
It's not some giant. It's not some kind of giant conspiracy. You can't expect referees to have a sixth sense when something amiss is happening.
Why didn't he stare at the way he's
No, the difference is that the Panthers trainer was doing it very sneakily when they were walking back to do a kickoff. Mitch Dunn did it when they were set up for the kickoff right in front of referee Todd Smith. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I remember we thought that they just stopped because they didn't have a ball. They did have a ball. It was just wet. Todd Smith telling him off was very, very funny. The ref audio was hilarious. We'll actually talk about the game now.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. I'll talk about the Cowboys first because the only person I really have a lot of words to say about is one Robert Derby. He had a shocker. It's rare that
And yet he still scored a try.
it's rare you can blame a result on a single person. I think Rob Derby applies here because one of his errors led directly to a try, half a second later. No, it was the Blaise Helene try. Yeah, he was bad. I see people calling for his head, and I'm just like, it's his game. Well, yeah, first of all, it's one game. Second of all, his past few weeks have been excellent. It's his 8th career game. We have to remember that he has not played good football, and this is his first truly bad game.
We need to keep the faith in him for the time being. If it happens more regularly, then we are going to have to look at. Burns is nearly ready to come back.
I completely agree with that. If Derby has a couple more weeks of being subpar, then you can definitely drop him. 1 week does not warrant that.
And that's like what they didn't do it with Duffy. They gave him a couple of weeks, and then they said,
yeah, you can go away. Yeah, look, I think, in my opinion, the best player on ground for the Cowboys was one Johnny Bateman. This was my favorite game I've watched with him for the Cowboys so far. He was everywhere.
and he looked like he was really enjoying his game too. He was great.
Top of the Facebook Cowboys page. Just thought I'd put that out.
Great. Yeah, they get to see our ugly muds again. Let's check up the photos somewhere.
But yeah, Johnny did a good job.
Great. Well, yeah, he ran for 112 meters and had 43 tackles with only 1 miss.
That's very, very well.
Bad.
Yeah, he's gone fine.
He's had a few average games. This was the first truly good game I thought he's played for the Cowboys.
John, man.
He's good, Johnny.
I thought Purdue had a good second half.
I thought Stephen Purdy did have a good second half. I think he's really found his own at centre. He
Apparently,
ran for 200 meters in this game. It's just become commonplace for him at this point for being almost, he is the game breaker for the Cowboys right now. That's the thing. Every single good thing for the past few weeks has come off something he's done. And I know that Scott Drinkwater gets all the credit because he's the one who gets all the try assists and stuff. You watch the game, Purdue is arguably the most important player, certainly the most important center in the competition behind Stephen Crichton.
Yeah, he has this awareness, a game awareness, right?
He's such a smart
He knows
footballer.
when to pick up the ball and run, and he knows when to pass, and he's just got this good game smarts. And he's only 19.
He's only 19.
So
Look, I thought in a bigger minute role in the absence of Jason Tamalolo, I thought Cohen Hess was very good.
Cohen, you always know what you're going to get with Cohen. He just gets out there and rips in, right? You're going to get that every week when he plays. He loves football.
34 tackles, 1 miss. Very, very good. He only ran for 65 meters, but I'm not going to hold him against that considering defense is what the Cowboys really need to work on right now. I guess the other guy you could say didn't have a great game was Jake Clifford. I thought he was meh.
Drinkwater actually had a pretty good game.
His positional play is just so bad, though.
He kicked all of them.
Look, his goal kicking was great.
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy that he managed to kick all of them because he needed to kick all of them.
JT curve.
He was just caught out of position so many times in defense. It's quite frustrating because how many, what were there, 5 tries? I think 3 of the Panthers' tries were off rubber kicks or something. It's just, and that's.
And 2 of them, one of them was picked up by Derby, and the other 2 were just.
Yeah, exactly. I think that if a try comes off a grubber kick, that's solely on the fullback not being in position. And it happened a few times in this game for Scott Drinkwater. It's unfortunate, but it's just kind of how he plays because we know how good he is with the ball.
No.
He's the most crafty player in the NRL. But it's just.
Yeah, he needs to fix that up. But that's the thing, we've had very good footballers whose defence has always been a bit questionable. We even go back to JT, right?
Yeah.
Best attacking halfback seen probably in the competition history.
Be up there.
His defence is where a lot of people argue that Johns was better because Johns was better.
But I think the argument against that for mine is that Jonathan Thurston was very, very small. Even for a halfback, he was very small. Scott Drinkwater is about the average size for what the fullback is, besides a couple of exceptions.
Latrell
Mitchell, exactly. But he has all the tools to be a phenomenal, phenomenal fullback. He just needs to work on his defensive positioning a little bit, I think.
And that being the issue, he's not calling his defensive plays very well.
Yeah.
And that's getting people like their centre, Vilea, out of position.
Yeah, and Vilea cops a lot for being not great defensively, which I don't think is fully warranted.
No.
Look, I think his decision-making sometimes is a bit hit or miss, but I think overall he's fairly strong in contact. He doesn't fall off tackles.
And I saw his try over the top of Dylan Walker. There's too many Dylans in this competition. Dylan Edwards was absolute.
Yeah, that's a good show of how strong he is.
Very strong. I don't think he's leaving the team anytime soon. He's been a bit too consistent for mine. So
that's fair. I think he's too good out of yardage. Especially with a backline that includes Scott Drinkwater and Jackson Purdy. Who aren't big meter readers. I think you need.
You've got him and you've got Talangi, who are very good at taking things out.
And Derby is still good.
He's actually not bad for that because he's a big, tall boy who takes big steps, right?
Yeah, he's a big, tall boy, but I wish he was playing more. Is one Tom McKaylee. This rotation infuriated me because look, I'm fine with McKaylee playing 20 minutes in regular play because we've seen that's what normally happens. But when you get an extra 10 minutes of football and you need to set up for a field goal, you need quick play the balls and ruck speed.
Yep.
If you have Cohen Hess and Sam McIntyre, who are great for that, don't get me wrong. But McKaylee is the best on the Cowboys roster.
Absolutely.
How he doesn't come back on the field, the golden point is beyond me, but we put Harrison Edwards back on. Why?
He's one of the slowest play the ball.
He's one of the slowest play the ball people in the competition. I don't understand it.
Don't get me wrong. I like Harrison Edwards. He's not
a bad player.
He's not made for that type of
what they needed in that situation. It infuriated me. And Kai O'Donnell was fine. He also only played 20 minutes, but it's just like...
He hit pretty hard in defence.
He was very hard in defence. I'm not taking that away from him. He just needs to stick a little bit more.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's just his thing.
I think Cohen has hit Nathan Cleary again.
Yes, he did. He's made
He's making that his job right now.
Sometimes, yeah, the forward rotation is very strange. Sometimes I don't understand what Pod's ideas are about.
I mean, yeah, he got thrown into a little bit of chaos when they lost Chase, right? Not too far away from. I mean, it was halfway through the week. So.
They had the day, I suppose, and I figured he was named cautiously anyway because he got ruled out pretty quickly. It's like, okay, well, they put Cohen Hess there immediately.
Which is fair.
They had that ready, obviously.
He makes a good replacement anyway. I mean,
Losing Cotter and Tamalolo in the same weekend is not right.
Ideal at all. No.
And the fact that they could take it to what is still, in my opinion, a pretty decent Panthers forward pack is pretty admirable to say the least. I haven't even said anything about Jordan McLean. I thought he played pretty well in this game.
No, he had a good game. He's still a big body and he makes good meters. And
Very misses tackles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's a bit of a stalwart down the guts. For
So that high tackle was stupid.
The Muzz one.
Apparently, your chest is now your shoulder.
Yeah, that one was a bad call. That was a bad call.
I think the refs need physiology training.
In my opinion,
Anatomy.
Someone.
the best highlight from this game wasn't even from in the game. It was Todd Payton's press conference. That was insane.
What who went off at the refs completely unprompted and overrode one of Tom Dearden's answers, which wasn't a good look for mine. I really didn't like that at all.
But I think
It was warranted.
my thing is he was probably protecting Tom Dearden from having to answer that question because
That's such a lack of faith in your captain.
No, but I think he wanted to take the heat if there was going to be any heat. He wanted to keep the heat off his player.
Right. Because Tom Dearden is really the immediate future for this club. If he wants to be a captain, he needs to be able to deal with that.
Well, he didn't ask Tom to override him to be.
No, but that's why I'm saying it's something Todd did wrong, in my opinion. It's not a good look. What else isn't a good look is Todd going off at the refs for being inconsistent and then completely ignoring the blatant offside call that was missed against John Bateman that probably would have won Penrith this game. So they could feel equally slighted by the refs in this game.
Yeah, we don't know what would happen, but they shouldn't have had that penalty, which led to a try either. So
yeah, it's a sliding doors moment. I still do think that circumstance applies. That the non-call on John Bateman is more significant, at least.
I don't know.
I know.
I don't agree because it wasn't as significant points-wise.
It wasn't as significant points-wise, but it was more significant situation-wise.
Yeah, but it may not have mattered. See, this is the thing. It may not have even been that close for a penalty that could have won it. Right? So,
Yeah, I guess.
had that 6 points not happened.
True.
And look, I'm not jumping on about the height, the forward passes. There was a couple from both sides. So, and look, they put the whistle away in Golden Point. Both teams were offside every single time a person was going.
Oh yeah, the charge down on Cleary's one. Drinkwater was 4 meters. He was right in front of us. He was at least 3 steps offside. It was absurd.
It was happening on both sides.
Oh, I mean, this is what he's offside on field goals. No, it is.
It was like I remember in the 2015 grand final when Thurston did kick the field goal.
Everyone from Brisbane.
Nobody got back 10. They maybe went back about 4 meters or 5 meters, and they just turned around.
Yeah, look, there wasn't too much bad refereeing in this round, which I think was good because it let the football do the talking, which there was a lot of.
Yeah, and there was a couple of just a couple of annoying things that were let go.
Right, that we as fans got pretty grumpy at.
Yeah,
So-
that's fair.
But the most exciting part of the game was the part where Tom Dearden speared his way over under the post.
That was great.
The game equally in front of it. So
Yeah, the crowd was
That was so good.
I thought the crowd for that game was excellent.
look, Penrith fans were excellent.
That support event they have at the
top left.
what's the
Southern end, I think.
Southern end, like the Southern grandstand, like that big area at the back there. They were awesome. They had the Panthers chant going for like 3/4 of this game. It was awesome.
They did a good job, and they probably helped the Penrith guys, to be fair. Because, like Tom said in his interview at the end, he said, "Yeah, we do hear it and we do feel it, and they do lift us.
Yeah.
We just wish Minty would shut up."
Glenn
Hinton, can you please
every time.
stop yelling Cowboys all the time?
It's nearly every time that he does that, they screw something up. It's just ridiculous.
And I don't think they did on the night, but it didn't help them at all. They didn't do anything in
There
particular.
were a couple of times where there were just errors that came from that. Just frustrating. Look,
We're always going to start because we can't hear
it's going to shut up. I reckon the people around us get annoyed at that.
Well, it's not helping. Just look at what happens to them when that starts.
Exactly.
More often than not, they'll drop it or they'll, I don't know, kick it out of the ball or whatever. It's just not the way it works. But yes, Clifford was average. I thought Cleary played a good game.
I thought Cleary was, but he wasn't Penrith's best in my opinion. Penrith's best
was excellent.
Penrith's best was Blaise Talangi by a long shot. This was his coming out party saying he had a try. He was involved in every single try that Penrith scored because he scored one of them and set up 4 others. He was phenomenal in this game.
What he scored was very lucky, to be fair.
It was lucky, yes.
Sad
However,
already.
he in general play and on the Cowboys goal line was clinical. Yeah, what you really want to see if you're a Penrith fan is because no one really has put their hand up to be the Jerome Luai replacement. This game tells me that he can.
He probably can. Look, he's obviously a smart footballer. He's fast. He's got all those
short kicking games. Excellent.
He didn't have a quiet game, and you have to put it down to him coming back from an injury. Brian To'o.
Look, I thought towards the end he really started to make some inroads, but
he would because you're getting tired playing.
At the beginning, I thought he was pretty quiet. So look, for this game, it was a draw, obviously. The Cowboys currently sit in 6th, which they shouldn't be because they've only won 4 games, which is, hold on, I wrote this down. They have won less games than the Tigers, Bunnies, and Broncos, and have won the same amount of games as the Sea Eagles, Roosters, and Dolphins, who are currently sitting in 12th. They have the bye up their sleeve, right?
Although the Cowboys just need to keep winning then, don't they?
Be nice. Well, they need to not keep doing whatever it is.
They've got to do better.
Keep earning.
Okay, let's move on to Sunday.
I will shout out one more Penrith player because I've been fairly critical of Penrith's recruitment drive for how they've tried to replace these people. I thought Isaiah Papali'i was excellent in this game. I thought he was always threatening when it came to.
Yeah, he had a few errors though, which didn't help.
A couple of errors, but I thought on the whole, I thought he was maybe their best forward besides Isaiah Yo, but I don't even know if you can count him as a forward anymore. He's like a third half who can carry 4 people, and no one wants to tackle him.
The economics.
The economics teacher, that's what he is. I don't think either team should feel great about this result because for the Panthers, they definitely should have won this game. For the Cowboys, they also should have won this game, and they tied the second worst team in the competition right now. So,
this second worst team that flogged the Broncos last week as well. So
it's all weird. I don't look as a Cowboys fan. I don't feel great about that result.
Should have won.
Learn to kick field goals,
please.
Especially because you're playing Manly next week.
Yes,
and we know how well that went last year.
How fun was this one?
But we don't have Chad Council or bounce on homes anymore, so we don't have
no one can still kick field goals.
No. Well, Drink Politics are too blind at that time.
Tomorrow telling you, let him kick it. Who cares?
A game that did not require any field goals of any sort was the Melbourne Storm's absolute violation of the West Tigers.
Yeah, well, this means we don't actually have a lot to say. In fact, it was just all Melbourne.
Look, this section is going to be, yes, Melbourne were incredibly dominant. Yes, the Tigers were pretty average. And Ryan Pappenhausen had one of the best days I've seen a footballer have.
He first 3 tries and kicked nearly every goal. It's just crazy.
He had 36 points on the day, which I think is, if not a record, I think close to the NRL era record for points in a game.
I think it sits in about 3rd or 4th. I think that's put up the stats.
Incredible. It'd be the highest by Melbourne player.
Oh, easily.
Easily.
Cronk, right? And I don't think.
I guess maybe Nick Meaney when he was playing centre and kicking goals. But that'd be about it. But yeah, Melbourne were just completely dominant in this game.
Really.
But here's the thing. In the first half, the Tigers had their fair share of opportunities. They blew a couple of really, really good chances to put points on the board. Especially that one, they had a 2-on-0 and blew that somehow. That was embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
Yeah, I think that backline area with Brent Naden didn't really work. I didn't think Naden had a very good game.
No, Naden was pretty average.
Look, I think Galvin did about the best he could do. It's not much. Funua Pole got hurt, which didn't help.
And how was your
Naden?
Man crush throughout?
He did his usual thing. I thought he was fine. Look, he ran for 106 metres. He had 4 tackle breaks and 52 tackles and 3 misses. That's pretty good.
That shows that he was defending nearly all the time.
Well, look, that's pretty good for a forward that they had none of the ball. Like really, the Tigers didn't have any of the ball.
Well, they were completely outplayed. There's really little to talk about the Tigers, to be fair. There was no real standouts. And in a game where you lose 64-0, there's not going to be.
And I guess the inverse is that Melbourne, on the whole, was so good that outside Ryan, there weren't really many standout individual performances either.
Go Nas. Nas was back.
Yes.
Good to see him back after that.
Look, it's always
Could
fun.
never have been done for.
It's always fun watching him play. It's always fun watching Nas.
He did score a try. That was cool.
Yeah, he was good.
And he did a dance. That was funny.
Look, I thought
Biggest guy in the world, he's dancing.
Cam Munster was really good in this game. Jerome Hughes was good in this game. There was just a lot of really, really good for Melbourne
I
here.
don't think it was really bad.
My only thing is that they've done this a couple times this year. They've done this where they've just absolutely beat the crap out of the team. And for the next couple of weeks, they either win, but not convincingly, or lose. So they need to find a little bit of consistency, which is usually the hallmark for what consistent the entire season. They haven't had that this year, much like the Manly Sea Eagles. I'm concerned. I'm not. I know you hate Manly. The whole world hates Manly. I don't hate Manly. You still have the grudge from the semi-final from 2012.
Oh, yeah, that was stupid.
You still have that, despite I think Daly Cherry Evans might be the only remnant of that team here.
Still in Manly. There's another guy still running around.
Yes, I know you start shaking whenever you see Kieran Foran playing for the Titans.
Anchor, that's why.
It's not that bad.
He is that bad.
Now, look, this was arguably because this is exactly what I said would happen. Manly were there for a bit in the second half, but they just ran out of puff against the Cronulla Sharks.
The biggest forward pack in the
They
competition.
just ran out of steam.
Look, I still say that Cronulla have the best forward pack in the competition.
Yes, I say so.
Running as a pack. Yes, you've got one or two better forwards, but
It's a whole
running as a
like,
pack,
yeah. They're just
So,
yeah.
it's hard, right? Like you say, Manly played as well as they could, but they were just tired.
Yeah.
And,
Well, look,
you know,
Cronulla had 54% of the ball. They completed 81%. They ran 180 more meters. They missed 13 less tackles and made 4 less errors. They were just better on the day than Manly were.
Yeah.
And
this is another one that they've lost at home. I don't know what's happening there.
Fortress Brookvale, the walls are crumbling.
Oh, yeah, the fortress made of jelly.
Jericho.
And the latest the latest constituent in this war on Brookvale was Nico Hines. He's found some good form the past few weeks. I'm very, very excited. I like Nico Hines. I think he can be an excellent player, and he seems like a great dude.
just don't put him in Origin.
Just don't put him in Origin ever again.
It drops his confidence through the floor.
He's really played with a lot more impetus in the past few weeks. He seems to really take control
They
of
might
the
be
team now.
working out a little bit how he and Trinidad are working.
Yeah, exactly. I think they've finally figured out that balance, and it is Nico being the main half like it should be, and it's working now.
It's just Trinidad throws some tricky things in from time to time,
And
right?
Trindle's kicking game, which is excellent.
It is. He's a good player.
Look,
They
Nico
was
was
way more consistent than Manly. That's a simple
the
as that.
forward pack had a field day. Adam Fanua Blake, Britt Nickera, Cam McInnes, Jesse Colquhoun, and Braden Hamlin-Uele all were over 100 metres. It was just dominant. They just bulldozed them. Along with the entire back five, which I guess for Cronulla isn't really that much of a surprise because they always do very well. They were led this week by Jesse Ramian's 170 metres.
He always gives you some, but he does make errors at times.
I know I talk about like people who I love watching play, like the Latrell Mitchells and the Terrell Mays and these sorts of guys.
Taylor Hero is good.
Taylor Hero is excellent. I think he's a great player. I love watching him.
He's very smooth.
Look, we say this every time we talk about it.
He's a Valentine Holmes, right? Clone.
Yeah.
If you put them side by side, showing a running thing, they would almost be running exactly the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're built the same, and they're all, Taylor might be going a little better than Val at the moment, but
He's got a better team.
well, that helps.
To be fair.
It does help. And of course, their fullback is still leading the.
Will Kennedy's still going.
He's strong. He's 29 points or something at the
Something
moment.
like that, yeah.
So,
He's had a really good season.
Look, he has, and there's no arguing that. Whether he continues it all the way through, we don't know. But he started off really.
But it's insane to think that currently the best player in the NRL is Will Kennedy, which is just blatantly false.
He's just been in teams that have won, and he's shone out.
Well,
quite well.
it's because Nico and Trindle have been sort of cannibalising each other when it comes to taking over the team that when Kennedy stands out, he really stands out. So
And he's very consistent. Look, he's very
oh,
safe.
he's incredibly consistent. He's kind of like Diet Dylan Edwards. I think.
And
that's
look, I don't like either of the teams. Cronulla were just better.
better. Yeah. Look, but the only concern I have is that this is what Cronulla do. They always do this where they go play really well against a bum average team, and then will end up getting creamed by a better team. They just need to find some sort of consistency against the top flight teams.
Yeah, Melbourne Bulldogs.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly my point. So I guess
Warriors, so
we'll see how that
yeah.
goes. Cool. For Manly, I'm really concerned for Pontrebojevic. I'm removing his nickname of Turbo because he is moving at the speed of a snail. He just doesn't look.
Maybe he should be nicknamed Diesel. Should they take forever to get up to any speed?
It's a Shaquille O'Neal thing. It's me, Diesel. But yeah, it's just he just doesn't. He's not the weapon in attack that he was. The soft tissue injuries, the hamstring injuries,
They
coming up to him now.
And he's not as young as he used to be.
He's what, 28, 29?
Yeah, he's older, so it's going to take longer to
It's
heal.
really unfortunate.
He's been unlucky with injuries, right?
Yeah.
His name should still be Turbo because he is a snail. He's the speed of a snail.
Funny.
Turbo's a snail.
Really funny.
And you get turbo diesels as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Turbo jokes.
I'm really concerned for Manly as a whole now because Turbo isn't firing.
And look, their forward pack is about 5,000 years old.
Exactly, it's the Northern Beaches retirement. For as much as he is up there in age, I think he's 30 or 31 these days. I thought Takeaho was good in this game.
Oh, he's a good player.
He played very well. I think that Nathan Brown did his usual things. There's a really good photo on NRL.com. I'll chuck it up here of him just looking like he's going to kill a man when he's carrying the ball. Because he runs off the back fence, and it is one of the best sights in rugby league. But he is unfortunately quite old. Ben Trebojevic is quite old. Outside Ola Kawatu and Ben Trebojevic, everyone's pretty up there in age. I guess Bullimore's not. But
he's not like 20 anymore.
doesn't play enough minutes, unfortunately. I prefer him playing more minutes than even Jake Trebojevic at this point. I think Gerbo at prop is the correct decision because he's just not fast enough to play the ball playing lock anymore. He can just sit there and tackle 40 times a game. That's fine by me. I just
let him be a defensive story.
let him be defense. They just can't keep up with some of these bigger forward packs, the better forward packs. And it's good for certain situations, but when it comes to long-term prospects, it does concern me on how well they would be able to perform in the finals if they make it. Which isn't a surefire thing right now.
Look, I was predicting they're in the top 4, but at the moment they're not going in the top 4.
I have them being roughly the same. I think they have regressed slightly. Maybe it's due to all the DCE stuff.
Because and the injury to Tom obviously never helped.
There's been a bit of inconsistency from the roster as well this year, as opposed to like the team on the field as well.
So there are extenuating factors, but
yes, but I still think they should be playing better.
Yeah.
Especially with the caliber of the back five they have, and Ola Kawatu, obviously, who is Ola Kawatu. I feel like they should at least be doing a little bit better than what they are, and that isn't losing by 16 at home.
The league game that comes out.
that's a random thing to throw.
It's a very, very strange thing.
I was
Yes, you're getting tired.
Run.
Which is fair.
what?
Okay,
It's not good. Yeah, I was going to say, if they lose, look, Manly are going to lose definitely. Actually, no, I don't think they're definitely going to lose anybody besides DCE. I think he will still be there. But I don't think Ola Kawatu is a guarantee, and I don't think Turbo is a guarantee with the way he's playing right now. So they might pick up some stuff during the Origin period. I guess we will see who gets picked and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Speaking of Origin, we have the final auditions for Origin, round 11. There's a couple of really interesting games here. Knights Eels.
That's not one of them.
It's interesting for the sake of being terrible. One of the so bad it's good things.
I think the Eels are probably going to win.
Okay, so Newcastle lose Greg Marju and Leo Thompson.
Okay, the only person that can actually run any meters is out.
He had some delayed concussion thing at the start of the game, which sucks because I love Leo Thompson. So they get a debutant winger in Fletcher Hunt, and to replace Leo Thompson, Tyson Frizzell moves to prop, Adam Elliott starts at lock, and Thomas Cant joins the bench. For
We should just brought in his brother, who looks just like him, so they could trick him.
little Leo, yes.
Yeah.
For Parramatta, Zach Lomax is back. Huge in, Zach Lomax has returned. swapped for Bailey Simonson, who I guess, funnily enough, also has a foot injury, which is what Lomax is coming back from. So, how perfect is that?
Yes.
The other change is Charlie Geimer is dropped, which is sad because I like him. He's dropped completely. Matt Dury starts in the second row, and we get another debutant, Tom or Tim Mattaley, for some reason, who's coming off the bench. Para have won 4 of their last 5 at McDonald Jones Stadium. I'm expecting something similar here,
I think Para wins.
although I have no idea. If the thing, Newcastle could rock up like they rocked up against Souths and blow them off the park.
Very possible.
But also, Mitch Moses and Zach Lomax could combine for 5 tries and Manly win by 20. Not Manly, Parramatta win by 20. I have no idea how this game can play out.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
It's the battle of the origin auditions between Mitch Moses and Kalen Ponga. I trust Mitch Moses more right now, so I'm going to give Parramatta the edge.
I think Para wins.
You going to pick anything?
Newcastle.
You're going to pick Newcastle.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, you
Okay.
are drunk. Dogs Chooks. This will be
I
interesting.
think it'll be a good game.
I guess it's
James
Chuck's just coming off the bye.
It's come off the bye, yes. So, for the Bulldogs, Jamin Salmon's ankle injury means that Harry Hayes starts in the second row.
I hated his
And another debutant, Luke Smith, comes off the bench for
Most white name I've ever heard.
the Bulldogs. Yes, it's very, very
They're white.
for the Roosters, Lindsay Collins is named to come off the bench in his final chance to be named on an Origin bench spot, probably. That's the only difference from their last game in round
Sam Smith
9.
will be playing.
Sam Smith is playing, yes. They have split the last 6 at Accor Stadium. The last one they played here was a doozy, if you remember that particular game, with Dominic Young being sent off and then the Roosters nearly coming back from 30 points behind them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That game was strange. This one could also be quite strange. Look, the Bulldogs are playing exceptionally well. I don't think they are going to lose.
It would be hard for the Roosters to win, but there is
However,
a path for them.
I do think that the Roosters could put up a fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they have a very good forward pack.
So Smith is going gangbusters.
James
right?
Tedesco has his last chance to try and take the fullback jersey back from Dylan Edwards.
Let's just say he's got a good chance.
He's got a good chance. Laurie Daly has said he's going to pick this team based on form. If I'm looking at form, James Tedesco is my number one.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any other number ones that could usurp.
I'll have to put out a post on Facebook with my predicted Origin 17s before Sunday when the New South Wales ones come out. I'll try and put that together. Yeah. I think the Dogs by a try or 2, something like that.
Yeah, the Dogs will win.
I think
That
it
will
will.
not be. It's not going to be as silly as the game against Canberra.
I agree. Finns Waz. This could be interesting because the Dolphins, they run out the same 17.
They played not that long ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. There's been a few fixtures like that where they've played each other twice in the same month. It's stupid. The Finns keep the same 17 personnel-wise. However, the roles of Tom Gilbert and Ray Stone swap. So Ray Stone starts at lock and Tom Gilbert's playing in the second row. For the Warriors, James Fisher-Harris is back.
That's a big in.
Massive in. And another potential in, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is named on the reserves. So they're getting some cattle back now, the Warriors.
They've already been winning, so
In the place of... Okay, so James Harris comes in. He displaces Bunty Afoa, who's out completely, along with Jackson Ford, who's in concussion protocol. Sam Healy joins the bench. Dummy half guy. He played very well against the Cowboys, if I remember correctly. The Finns have won both of the games because this has been played at Suncorp. The Finns have won both of the games played here. However, with James Fisher-Harris back, the Waz pack only gets better, and that's arguably the weakness for the Dolphins. I do think the Waz get up here
I do too. I think they're a bit more
by
consistent.
10, 12 points.
They're more consistent than the Dolphins. That's the thing. They're
Yes.
more consistent.
Absolutely.
You'd put your house on them before you put them on the Dolphins. That's for sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Cowboys,
Eagles.
Cowboys.
in what is one of the most mind-boggling moves I have ever seen a coach make, Jake Clifford has been dropped for some reason. And it's made stupider by Jackson Purdue moving to 6 and Tom Dearden playing 7.
It would be less stupid if they just put Jackson Purdue.
I would prefer that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would have preferred that because I don't care if Tom Dearden is the best 5'8" on the planet. He's not a halfback. He could not organise a route in a brothel. It is not that good. It's just not. In my opinion, he's not captaincy material, and which means he's not halfback material. I don't think he can organise this team well enough as a 7. It's a mistake.
Yeah, well, Clifford obviously.
Look, the only good that comes out of this move is that Zach Labour is
Zach Labour is
good.
He is excellent.
He fits in quite nicely to the Purdue section because they're kind of a similar running games, and he's better in defence.
Yeah,
So
I can see that combo working well. It's just Dearden being at 7 is so concerning.
Yeah, well, I already gave you my theory on that.
What of Tom Dearden's skill set suits being a 7? His passing isn't great. His long kicking game is not good.
he's got a good short kick.
His short kicking game is all right. I'll give him that. But it's just, I really don't get it. I think, look, it's probably because Jackson Purdue coming through the grades was originally a half. He is off contract at the end of this year. They want to keep him clearly, so they'll try and keep him happy, and that's why this has happened. I think in the short term, this is a bad, bad move.
I feel for
I feel
Clifford because look, yeah, he's had 1 or 2 average games, but he's one of these players that can kick you out of trouble.
Exactly. I think that, look, Jackson Purdue may be theoretically a better player than Jake Clifford is. I can concede that. But Jake Clifford is a better fit for what this team needs out of the 7. Because now you're left with the only guy with a decent long kicking game in this team is Scott Drinkwater. And I don't like it. I really, really don't. It's really...
To be fair, we haven't actually seen Purdue kick.
No.
Because he's been playing centre. So maybe...
He's done it a couple of times off like a line break and stuff, and most of them don't end up particularly well. Jackson Purdue in Q Cup has played exactly 6 games and a half. So I don't know.
It'll either be a masterstroke or it'll be a complete
Look,
fire.
Phil Payton moved Cohen Hess to prop, and it worked. So he's like, I'm going to move everybody. I do think it's probably a contract thing rather than a skill level thing.
Not re-signing Clifford?
Well, they've got the 3 7s on the roster with Duffy, Clifford, and I guess Purdue now.
That's not good.
Well, it seems like he's on the outer. Yeah, it's a battle between Clifford and Purdue. I don't know how this is going to go.
That's right, because Purdue's not playing 7.
We forget there is another team that's playing in this game. Yeah, we see Eagles. They've put Jake Trebojevic back at lock, which I just said was a bad idea. Stupid. Now, one good thing is that Ethan Bullimore is now starting prop, which I do like because he brings a lot of energy and it'll probably help them start a bit quicker than they have been. However, Jazz Savanga is back at hooker and Jake Simpkin is back to the bench, which I don't like at all. I don't know why they are doing that. It is all confusing. Clayton Faulalo also drops off the bench, replaced by Caleb Navale, which I do like. He's a good player. Matthew Lodge is eligible to be selected, and he's named in the reserves.
Bugger Lodge.
Who's he again?
Look, the
He was
Cowboys,
the guy that beat up some guys in America and then was able to play football.
yes. The Cowboys have not beaten Manly at QCB. I object to picking the Cowboys based on principle in this game. Manly are going to win.
I will still back my team to the hill because Manly have been going like bastards.
Yes.
So, but I mean, I know we've said this for some teams that if anybody comes up against this team, we'll probably play them into form. Maybe it'll happen, but maybe the Cowboys will actually play really well.
You need someone with like actual confirmed, established, good long kicking game when you're coming up against arguably the best back 5 in the competition. I really, really don't like the idea of having Scott Drinkwater doing literally all the kicking.
Now, let's see what Purdue's role is. We don't even know what that is yet.
It could be one of those things where it's like, technically, Purdue was named at 6th. I think Todd Payton may have been inspired by how good Fletcher Sharp is. Him and Purdue are essentially the same player.
I think the difference is that Sharp hasn't played. Sharp's always been a winger or centre, hasn't he?
Well, he's playing 6 right now.
I know, but prior to that, the difference
He was on the wing a couple of times, yeah.
is Purdue.
Purdue's played wing in Q Cup before.
Yeah, he's played this throughout all the back line, to be fair.
Well, yeah, he is incredibly versatile. I guess maybe because technically half is his preferred position. If he somehow gets better at half than he has been in the centres, I will shut my mouth and eat my words. But I just don't see it happening.
Well, let's see how it goes. And look, I'm going to tip my boys. I'm not going to tip them by 1 because they can't kick field goals. So I'll tip them by 4.
Yeah.
He doesn't like even numbers, apparently.
Just did.
He always,
Four.
he
He
always
just picked 4.
I'm not going to tip these by an odd number because they can't kick field goals.
If it comes down to field goals again, I can't lose the boys. We know this.
Tyler Cherry Evans going to
He's a good field goal, I'm going to say.
We know how well field goal shootouts panned out last time between these two. It was the stupidest game.
Cal San Diego was so large.
It had its own field of orbits.
Anyway,
And Valentine.
Anyway,
that game is
Eagles to win.
no.
Okay.
Cowboys to win.
Okay. Sharks Storm.
This will be the game of the round.
This will be a good game.
Game of the round for me. It's at Shark Park, so
It is at Shark Park. So, for the Sharks, CSC Vitalica is back after passing through concussion protocols, replacing Tom Hazelton, who has, I think, a shoulder injury.
Okay.
Teague Wilton is named in the reserves as he looks to come back as well. For and it means Origin Patricia is starting at prop. For
what a funny name is Tig. Anyway, let's keep
For
going.
Melbourne, Harry Grant is named in the reserves, so he's going to be back. Your man Nelson Solomona has been unceremoniously sent to the Shadow Realm for to become a commissioner.
That's not a good game.
He did have a good game. It's strange.
Melanie, are you insane? If you're eating mushrooms that you shouldn't be eating,
Please see, not
That's the only two changes. That's the only changes in this game. The Sharks have won their last 3 matchups against Melbourne at Shark Park. They have the wood over them here.
they do, and that's why it's hard to pick Melbourne. I think I still probably will, but
Yeah.
without a huge amount of.
Well, like I said before, Melbourne have this trend of beating a team senseless and then the next week being a little bit underwhelming. And against a team of the quality of Cronulla, it could mean a loss. I am picking the upset here. I think Cronulla can get up.
I don't know how much of an upset it is because Cronulla at home should actually almost be favourite just about
That's
any time.
true. I agree.
But
They will be the underdog simply because Melbourne won by 64.
yeah, look, Melbourne need to replay that sort of game, but they don't. Obviously, they're up against a stronger opposition this time, so
And they're not at home.
that too.
That'll be interesting.
Well, it should be interesting. It's going to be close. These games are always relatively close.
If Melbourne are going to win this game, it's going to be ugly.
Mm.
And I do think they actually will lose.
Yeah, and that's fine. I don't mind either way. I hate Cronulla.
I hate
Melbourne is one of my top 3 teams that I like to follow. So I hope they win. Who knows? It's going to be a close game.
Yes.
It could be only one try in it or something.
I'm still going Melbourne.
That's fair. I'm not going to display.
I think last game it was just too good.
That's fair.
They should keep this momentum going.
I understand that. Broncos, Dragons.
This may be getting around just
Once
how
up-
bad it's going to be.
Once upon a time, I would have said Broncos by a cricket score, but not anymore.
I'm telling
They're
you,
bad.
I'm telling you right now, I am tipping against the Broncos for the same reason I'm tipping against the Cowboys, out of principle.
Because
Your man is back, and he does not deserve to be playing in the NRL at all. I object to it.
Who should be in jail?
Unfortunately for Brisbane, they have no choice now, unless they want to play Billy Walters at the 6th, which would be a death sentence. So he's back. His return in Q Cup last week was apparently quite good, which frustrates me. But, there's that. I was looking forward to the Ben Hunt revenge game. I'm sad. Xavier Wilson starts on the edge in place of Brendan Piakura in the only other change for Brisbane. For the Dragons, the lazy boy, the cash has been sold on eBay now. It's sad. He's done his shoulder. He's going to be missing 3-ish weeks, which is sad.
They're going to get the catch back
So
or something.
Jack Bellin starts at prop and
Not a
joins the game.
horrible replacement.
You could
That
definitely
one's pretty
do
good.
worse.
Yeah.
This is at Suncorp, and Brisbane are 2-4 here against the Dragons.
That's interesting.
It's very interesting, isn't it? This could be very, very interesting. I'm picking the Dragons just out of sheer spite.
I hope the Dragons win.
It'd be nice.
That's what I hate Brisbane.
I know you too. I hate Brisbane. Everyone hates Brisbane.
Extra man is dumb. And
I am very, very interested to see the reception he's going to get.
That boot just having his face on the screen at Magic
That
Round.
was rough. Yeah. Saints by some number.
Yeah, hopefully, well, one's enough. So
That's enough. Yeah, be nice. Raiders Titans. This would be interesting.
Battle of the team who had a comeback against them versus the battle of the team who came back.
Yeah, I should give them the faders tag again, shouldn't I?
I think Sticky will have them ready. I don't think they're going to.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the Raiders, this is at GIO. So for the Raiders, Zach Hoskins starts on the second row, replacing the injured Matty Nicholson. He's allowed to do that because Corey Horsburgh is back.
Yay!
That's good.
As much as I think he's a bit of a sook, he's a good player.
I love him. I love Corey Horsburgh. Go Big Red. I
Oh,
love Horse. For the Titans, old man is back. Kieran Foran returns via the bench. Idiot. Yes, he's named at 14.
So was he going to come as a hooker?
I guess, or is it maybe is the spell for Tino? I don't know what they're going to do because that's what they did at the beginning of the year when he busted his shoulder or pec or whatever it was that he did. So I don't know what Des is doing there. He
is fighting for his.
He returns via the bench, as does
Jamin
Jolliffe, who returns from suspension, which is nice, and they replace Isaac Fasul Malawi and Arama Howe.
Right.
Philip Sammy and Jojo Fafita also swap roles on the back line. So now Sammy is a winger, Fafita is a
Really good.
I hate that.
Sammy used to play wing anyway. So.
The Titans haven't won at GIO since 2021. Look, I think the Titans match up well against the Raiders. I think their playstyle works against the Raiders fairly well. However, I don't think they will win here, but it will be close-ish.
No, I think maybe Tino and Tarpany cancel each other out, but after that, it's all Raiders in the forward pack.
Yeah, because Force is better than Reed and Campbell Gillard.
And look, Mo's pretty good, don't get me wrong. I don't mind Mo.
I think it might be a wash between Fermor and Hosking. Hudson Young being matched up against Chris Reynolds a little bit. Oh no, it's Cleese Haas this week, so that's still a little bit concerning.
No, I think Canberra win and win pretty comfortably.
I've got them by 12 points.
It'll be at least that. I think it could be more.
That's fair. And final game of the round, Tigers Bunnies. This game will be interesting. I think this will be a good way to end the round.
Game.
I think it'll be that bad.
Well, the Tigers better show up.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? So for the Tigers, Stafford Tuller returns.
That's good in because he's a good player.
And it pushes Brent Naden to the bench, which means that Charlie Staines has held on to his wing spot, which I think is good.
Brent Naden's not that good. So.
However, Fonua Pole's knee injury means that Royce Hunt starts in the middle and Jack Bird joins the bench. Talon De Silva reverts to the reserves.
Jack Bird joins the team to get injured
Again, yes. For the Bunnies, Alex Johnston is back again. For like the third time this year.
Yeah, if he could actually stay on the field, he already would have overtaken it.
He would have taken Kenny Irvine's record already, yes. Fletcher Myers moves to the reserves to accommodate that. Josh Schuster is also named in the reserves as he looks to finally get back into the NRL.
That's really bad. So,
yeah, he's an excellent, talented player, but he's got the Latrell Mitchell problem. Actually, no, it's not Latrell Mitchell now. It's the David Fafita problem.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating. So they have only played once at Campbelltown, where this is being played, and the Tigers won that game. I don't know. I really don't know. Look, the amount of tackles missed by the Tigers last week, which is in the 50s, I think, combined with the re-emergence of Latrell Mitchell, means I do think the Bunnies can get up here.
Yeah.
I think the Bunnies win. I just think Tigers, after their mauling last week, will still be licking their wounds, so it's going to be, sorry for putting all those,
They used up all their professionalism for the week during and after Lockie Galvin was dropped, and now it's all falling apart. Yeah. You see the post that Jerome Luai's dad put up after the 64-0 destruction? He put up a post saying, "Get out clause activated," which is interesting because it's like maybe Jerome Lua had, if this team concede 60 points, I reserve the right to piss off.
Back to Panthers.
Go back to the Panthers again. Yeah, I don't know. I do think the Bunnies can get up here. I trust their forward pack a little bit more now that Fonua Pole isn't playing.
Yeah. I think the Tigers' depth will be tested up, and it's
I think named on the bench is concerning.
probably going to be found wanting, unfortunately.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Picking anyone?
Yeah, Bunnies.
Nice. Go Ravens. Okay, well, I think that wraps up this episode. This was a weird week.
It was. Let's hope next week is less weird, so that I can actually get a few tips right.
I got 5. It can be as weird as it wants. Yeah, if you like listening to a few morons chat football, make sure you
Press that like button.
subscribe. It's free. Check us out on Spotify where we just upload the audio of these things. The name is the same. Comment if you think we missed something from this week. If there was a moment that you thought was quite funny, I will try and reply to as many comments as possible.
Yep.
Have a good week. Hope your fantasy team does well. Hope your tipping goes well.
Hope your team goes well, unless your team is Manly.
Yes, and that's one where I can actually. If you can actually say it doesn't matter who Manly are playing, you hate them anyway. That's it. All right, catch you guys.